Hey guys, Lord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Cosmic Legion's Book 2 Gravenight Kanoxx Vull, aka the Stinger, brought to us by the fine folks over at Horsemen Studios. And for those of you wondering what I'm most thankful for this Thanksgiving, because I gotta be honest with you, it ain't much. I mean, seriously, the past year for me, not all that in a bag of chips, but we won't discuss that here. I'm not here to be a Debbie Downer. That is another story for another time. That said, what I am most thankful for is quite possibly one of my top figures of the year, despite the fact that I do have a couple of snafus with him. And if you're wondering who that is, it's this guy right here. This guy right here. He is fan-freaking-tastic. Although, as of the time I am recording this video, it is the week of Legions Con, so any inquiries I had in regards to the snafus I have with this figure probably won't get resolved until after that. So, please forgive my naivete when it comes to certain things with this figure, because, as I mentioned in the the Grey Alien review I did the other day, I have not seen any reviews of these. So we're going into this more blind than usual because I'm visually impaired. So brace yourself, because this is the first brute scale figure in the life of Legions. From head to toe. You know, if you want to count the Centaur from the Alithia wave, that's your business. But this guy doesn't have a horse's arse. He's got two legs. One of them is half robotic, and that is one of the issues I do have with this figure, because that robotic leg is a little fragile, we'll say, and that's not Italian either. Just ask my good buddy Evil Billion. He's Italian, right? Kidding, of course. That's an inside joke. So, shutting up and cutting right to the chase and getting into the meat and taters of this review. Kanoxx Vull here does come with a pair of open hands with the in and out hinge there. That said, he only comes with two pairs of hands, which kind of sucks, because the Sphexians, the insectoid characters from Cosmic Legions, came with the friggin' onslaught of hands. They came with grip hands with the right hinges, grip hands with the wrong hinges, open hands. It was ridiculous. This guy, he's got two pairs of hands. And while I will say two pairs is all you really need, the grip hands don't have the right hinges in them, man. So I have to give the Horsemen a little crap for that. That kind of sucks. But I think this brute scale body was tooled before they started integrating the up and down hinge in the wrist. So I'll cut them a little slack, because I do believe that was a slightly later development. But still, grip hand should have this hinge, not this hinge. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a nincompoop. That said, he does come with a slightly less PO'd looking head sculpt. I say slightly because he's still looking quite frumpy there, like he sniffed someone's fart, although he does not have a nose. I do not see any nostrils on this head. That said, does anyone else think this guy looks like he came straight out of Somewhere in Time from Iron Maiden? I mean, seriously, look at that. Look at that. Flippin' amazing. You wonder why this is one of my favorite figures of the year. That said, he does come with a weapon, one weapon. Novi and Lean got three, he's got one. And while it is a pretty blunt one that I would not want to get schmacked the heck up by, he only comes with one. He doesn't come with a gun arm or anything, which I think would have been freaking sweet. If you could pop the lower arm off on the right side and give him a gun arm, that would have been sick. But you can pop this off at least. And I would have liked some kind of trap jaw gimmick with this guy where you could pop this onto his hand. That would have been kind of cool. But as it stands, you can hold this in the grip hands. There's a little handle here. I will say, heat up the hands on this guy before you go forcing this thing in there. It is a tight fit. I will say the left wrist is a little tighter than the right wrist on mine. So not sure if they're all like that, but that's how mine is. And then he's got not one, not two, but three tubers that you have to put on yourself. Two of them are in the plastic tray. This one is in a little plastic baggie that's usually somewhere else in the box, kind of more like a Mythic Legions would have, because up until now, all the Cosmic Legions, all their accessories are in plastic trays, at least all the ones I've gotten anyways. So when you're opening your Kanoxx Vull, if you got them outside of an all-in, that is, the plastic baggie will be in the box along with the rest of his stuff. But if you bought an all-in, it'll just be in the all-in box. So there you go. I will show you where those go, because it is kind of tricky. Because I looked at the pictures online. I didn't see the tubes actually connected to them in any of those pictures. So I don't know if they're meant to be optional, but they do have specific places where they plug in. So we'll discuss that a little later. That said, his other accessories, bringing him in here for a close-up. That's a face only a cybernetic alien mother could love, huh? He does have this pauldron here. That was a separate piece, but other than that, everything else was connected to him in the package. This tube that goes from his head to his little Bane backpack here. Yes, it's just Kanoxx Vull, I will break here. The question is, did I or didn't I? We'll talk about that in a minute. But he's got this Bane tank here, and you can hook another tube up to this end and have it go down here on his skirt piece, his side skirt piece here. And then there's another port on the opposite side of the side skirt that goes into the back of his calf here. And then there is a port on his gauntlet that initially I thought went to the Bane backpack, but actually goes into the shoulder pad right there. So again, I will connect those in this video just to give you an idea of where they go. But you're going to have to bear with me because I kind of suck at it. They stay in, but they do have a tendency to pop out. So that's why I have them off, so we can look at articulation. So his head will look up and down. Pretty easy. His head will also rotate, like so. You may unplug this from the backpack. It just plugs right back in. It does have a circle peg, circle-shaped peg that goes into the side of the head, so it does rotate in the head, but again, it does sometimes have a tendency to pop out, so you just have to pop that back in if it does. Shoulders can go out to the side, about that far, give or take. You know, he does have a little collar piece on here that is unique to him. Yeah, that's about as far as I can get that one to go. They do go down, they rotate forward and back. Single hinge at the elbow. If you rotate the gauntlet, you can get a little bit more out of that. So about 90. He does have a swivel at the gauntlet, as I just showed. He's got a swivel in the wrist with the wrong hinge in the grip hands. Come on, guys. Come on. You know better. You know better than that. But again, I think that was a later tooling development. And as far as the waist goes, I had to heat mine up at the waist here, because it was very, very tight initially. So doing this, you can rotate him here, and it does have a pop. I would say heat this guy's waist more so than the gray alien, because even though he's got a pretty thick peg going up inside him there, that sounded gross. My apologies. I would still recommend heating that up, because this guy is kind of like the ogres in the way his waist and midsection is constructed, because much like the ogres, the waist peg does not turn. It's a fixed piece. I don't know if it's keyed or what. I don't know if they'll change that moving forward, but it is in place, so it does not rotate. The torso rotates on the ball peg, which I think is better. It's a much tighter fit, but you want to be careful you don't snap that peg in there. So I would recommend heating the torso if it was stuck like mine. Once you do that, you can pop it off and you can pop it back on, and it should work just fine. That's what I did with the gray alien. That's what I did with this guy. Everything works. I'm not worried about breaking anything. I'd say I'd be more worried about some Marvel Legends joints that are like that. They're a lot tighter and a lot more brittle of a plastic. They're not as thick. They're a lot thinner. In my opinion, anyways. Based off what I've experienced and noticed, you know? Because I am a quote-unquote professional. That said, I don't know crap. So, take everything I say with a grain of salt. But as far as the hips go, they are like standard Mythic Legion's hips. They kick forward and back. He does have out. He can do the splitsies. And down. He's got a thigh cut. Pretty tight on the hips. Not too loose. Again, I did heat mine's midsection, so I probably loosened them a little teeny bit. But not bad. The other side is probably just as good as that one. So it's a little floppy here in neutral, but nothing that's going to make him hard to stand and cause him to do the splits. Same with the forward and back. That's pretty decent as well. So nothing to complain about there. It's pretty average. It's decent. That said, I do believe these are connected like 1.0 Mythic Legion's buck, not like an ogre where it's got the or the old ogre hips, I should say, where it's got the kind of the peg that goes inside the cylindrical tube piece that goes into the crotch. Nothing like that, so you don't got to worry about it getting stuck. He does have thigh cuts that work pretty well. He's got a single jointed knee, again, that works pretty well. I had to heat up the knee on the robotic leg side, which I will tell you, and I don't know if this snapped or if it just came unglued. This little piston here, do not push on that, because, you could unglue it, or I don't know if I snapped it. It doesn't look, it's not the worst thing ever. You don't even notice it, but I'm uncertain as to whether or not this is a separate piece that just came unglued. It doesn't look broken. When I lift it up and look at it, it does not look broken, but I will tell you, you do not want to push on this when you go to bend this leg. You want to push down here by the foot to bend this leg. Something like this. So, this is what you want. I actually loosened this knee up a little bit more as of the night I'm recording this, just to make sure if I do wind up getting a replacement leg for this guy, I don't have that same problem. That said, I had to heat the dickens out of this to pop it off, so be careful if you're a customizer and you like to pop and swap. But again, super glue will probably fix that right up, but yeah, I shouldn't have to worry about that, right? I'm pretty careful with my stuff, last I checked, so hopefully customer service will make it right, or just tell me, hey, all you gotta do is glue it, just came unglued, no big deal, nothing's broken. If nothing's broken, then I'll just have Mr. Brian glue it, but if something broke, then that sucks. I don't like broken stuff, man! Ugh. But he does have a rotation underneath the knee that does work pretty well. And he also has, the standard ankle articulation. Swivel right there. He's got ankle hinges. Mine are friggin' loose as heck, man. And I don't know what's going on there. My Kragnar had one just as loose as these. But both mine's ankles are pretty loose. And I've tried to heat these up and freeze them to tighten them up. They were tight before I put them in the freezer. Yeah, we're hardcore here. I put them in the freezer. And, nothing worked. So, I'm hoping I don't gotta make a video showcasing how loose these are, because you could see that he's kind of leaning here, and it's not because of me. It's because of his feet. So, while he does have this giant, I don't know what you want to call that. It's not a tripod, a quadrupod foot. The ankle hinges are just too loose, man, and I need some new ones. So, that kind of blows. That's killing my buzz right now, because, loose joints, in this day and age, man, can they just be a thing of the past, please? I know these are mass-produced, quote-unquote mass-produced. They ain't sold in Target and Walmart, but they're still classified as mass-produced. But loose joints are just annoying to deal with, and I'm not going to spend the money on Kikis or super glue or freaking model cement, whatever you want to call it, to tighten joints up. How about I pay you the money for the thing, you make sure the thing's good, and nobody has any problems, That's my only gripe with, any toy company nowadays. It's like, loose joint's not that big a deal. It kind of is, because this guy could knock over a figure that's worth $200, and if that figure breaks, I can't get it replaced. I'd rather replace the loose joint and prevent that problem than wait until I have that problem, I don't know. That's my inner Karen talking, I guess, but it gets old after a while, dude. Not gonna lie. So hopefully they can make that right, because everything else on this guy is tight enough to where I don't feel it necessary to replace it. That said, if they just send me the ankle balls, ankle joints, whatever you want to call them, I've heard both from the Horsemen and from other people in the community. These feet are a bitch to heat up and pop off. That said, I will tell you, 1.0 ankle joints do fit in the sockets on this guy. They're tighter than the pegs that these ankles have, ironically. So that's very interesting to note. But yeah, and something else to note, this wrap here, this little wrap piece, it's not a boot cut like Noviline. It's actually a separate piece that you can, in fact, take off like so and just have a little wrap piece. So that's kind of cool. You just want to have him with a bare leg there, although I think that kind of takes away from the aesthetic. That said, I can't figure out which way this stupid thing went on. There we go. And it'll only fit a certain way. I imagine you could probably fit that on an arm of some kind, but I don't have any handy that work. So, yeah, on top of that, he does have the ankle rocker, which is not loose. But the forward and back hinge, man, that sucks. Because everything else on this guy is pretty tight, pretty solid, but those ankles are... Yeah, you can see he wants to topple over now. So hopefully they can make that right. I don't gotta send him anything. I have pretty decent credibility as far as sending stuff in and it's actually loose. They've always replaced stuff I sent in, so obviously I'm not talking out of my arse when I'm saying something's loose. But yeah, that does suck. The leg I could probably fix, even if it is broken, but you know, I shouldn't have to worry about these things for 50 bucks, you know? You know? Especially from the Horsemen. I expect a little better. Yeah, I expect a little better. They're experienced. They make good stuff. I mean, just look at this guy. He looks like a freaking Spawn villain. You know, if Todd McFarlane was actually making Spawn villains and not some randos I've never heard of. So, with that being said, why don't we actually gear this guy up with his tubers? We're going to start with the longest one here that goes onto his leg, his cybernetic leg. Because that is actually the most stable one, I've noticed. It plugs in here, and then kind of... I like to coil it around the leg here. And then it plugs into the back here. It's going to give it a little tug. And line up the port, like so. And then we'll come around and we'll... make sure that's in there. Yeah, it was in there. And you know, if you're not going to take this guy apart, you could always super glue these tubes in, and they'll probably stay, if I had to guess. But, yeah, minor assembly required, and there I go pushing on that leg. Jeez. I think one thing with this leg, if you look at it here, you can see it is kind of hollow here. It is a hollowed out leg, which looks cool, but stability-wise, not ideal. I think I would have rather have had like a clear piece in here to kind of help stuff from, you know, I don't know, sagging over time potentially, because it is just PVC. Or, better yet, breaking like that one piston may or may not have. Again, it looks like it just came unglued, so hopefully that's the case. But I have to wait and see on that. That said, turning him back around here. Stand up, you. The next tube here, this is the second longest one. This tube plugs into his little skirt piece. Right down here. I hope this isn't going on too long, but I want to make sure I get all the information I can in this video. Because, again, as of the time I'm recording this, there is no video talking about this guy, really. So I want to make sure I'm doing it right. You plug this into the bottom of the Bane tank here, which can be easier said than done. Why doesn't it want to go in there? You know what? I think I have it upside down. Let me check. Does it go in like this? No, I had it right. I don't know what's going on here. Why aren't you going in there, you little scheisser? Yeah, it's literally like not even reaching. What the heck? Surely this isn't the end that plugs into that. I don't know what's going on here. This tube goes in here, but it does not want to for some reason. It's being a little... You know what? There. I could see myself having these glued in personally, because they are a pain in the butt. Yeah, I don't know. This one doesn't want to go in for some reason, and this one wasn't this big of a pain in the butt the other night. That's definitely where that goes. Yeah, it just wants to pull right out. I don't understand. What's going on here? Maybe that's it. Well, that's staying in there for the time being, but... Maybe that's it. Maybe that's how it is supposed to go. Maybe I was waist cocked. I don't know. But... There we go. There's that tube in there. It's kind of a loose fit, to be honest. But, oh, yeah. It's popped in there. But there you go. There's that tube. It took longer than I wanted. But that's what happens when you do it live, like Bill O'Reilly. And then the final tube. This one stinks. This one's a pain in the patootie to get in there. Personally, I like to start with the shoulder pauldron. And these are keyed, the pegs on this thing. So we can get this in here. If I can just get this in here. There we go. I'm going to bend the elbow here, and then we're going to take it, we're going to plop it in there. There. I think that's in. I think. I don't know. Straighten the arm out here. It does sit kind of funky, so you gotta monkey with it, but I think that's in there for the most part. And once you do that, the pauldron kind of loses the articulation a bit, but there is Kanoxx Vull all hosed up, looking pretty cool. Hopefully that didn't take too terribly long, but I wanted to give you guys a bit of a tutorial on where those go, in case, you know, by this time there's still no video on it. But don't say I don't do nothing for you, because that sucked. So I would recommend, if you're not going to take this guy apart, or if you're like me, well, yeah, if you're like me, not going to take this guy apart, just super glue them in there, and you shouldn't have a problem. But as it stands, if you are planning on using this guy for customs, I would just let those be. I would leave them alone and use them as you wish. Because there's always that tendency where you might forget you glued one in and you could break it. So, yeah, always keep that in mind when you're popping and swapping, as they say in the community. So, with that being said, let us move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, and since this is our very first full-fledged brute scale figure from head to toe, here's good old Kanoxx Vull, alongside a couple of the Deluxe Legion builders. Not Deluxe Legion builders, what am I talking about? Reinforcements 2.0 Legion builders. I guess they could be Deluxe, huh? Maybe I'm not wrong. Either way, we have the Shadow Orc Grunt and the Ogre Legion Builder 2.0. So you have an idea of how a brute scale figure stacks up alongside a 1.0 buck to the left and an ogre scale buck to the right. And as you can see, a brute scale is about a head taller than a 1.0 buck, and an ogre scale is about a head taller than a brute scale buck. So very interesting there. Seems we're going up ahead a scale here. I would argue that maybe a troll is a head taller than an ogre scale, but those aren't going to fit on screen right now because they're massive. So moving these two out of the way. Gotta tell you, this Shadow Orc looks cool with the, I think, Krona horns. They came with the alternate head from that figure. That said, you know what looks cool with Kanoxx Vull here? It's good old brother Mandibulus. Friend of the channel, because it wouldn't be one of my videos without him. And of course, how can we forget the infamous 11 Spawn. Just to further cement the fact that, yeah, this guy looks like a full-fledged Spawn villain. Let me adjust the camera here and move these guys over a bit just to center them for you. There we go. But as you can see, Kanoxx Vull stands taller than both of these fine fellows here, and kind of giving me overkill vibes, or Cygor vibes. Whether you prefer human or monkey is your business, but definitely looks like something from the mid-90s. Say the absolute very least. So, with all that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from a couple stupid, silly, nitpicky, itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny, yellow polka dot bikini issues I have with my particular figure, again, really hoping the loose ankle problem is not widespread. It's just on mine, because of course it is! And I'm also hoping that that little piston tuber hoser, whatever that is on his robotic leg there, can either be fixed or, worst case scenario, replaced. On top of that, the little hoses you gotta plug into him that are packaged separately, a little bit problematic as well. They do have a tendency to pop out, but again, a little super glue will fix that if you are not inclined to take this guy apart, that is. If you are, I would just leave that alone. Other than that, though, and I know that sounds like a lot, but really, at the end of the day, this is hands down one of my favorite figures of the year, and was, in my opinion, worth the wait so long as those issues get resolved. I know my credibility with the Horsemen as far as loose joints go should be pretty solid, because I've sent them a lot of loose joints before, and they've always replaced them. So that means what I've sent in is, in fact, loose. I'm not just trying to get extra parts. I'm trying to make the figures I have better. And most of the extra parts I do get, I obviously swap on, but then the parts I have left over, I tend to just give those away as freebies to people in trades and whatnot. So I'm not trying to rip them off. So I'm hoping that they replace the ankles. I'm hoping they can fill me in on how that robotic leg's assembled, so I can either have the old man glue it back into place, or worst case scenario, again, get a replacement robotic leg, because I have loosened up that knee joint to where that will probably never happen again, that little snafu there. So other than that, oh, and the inappropriate hinge in the grip hands. I know I don't have them with those at the moment, but it is what it is. They're not the right hinge. They should go up and down, not in and out. Other than that, how many times can I say other than that before you click off the video? We'll find out in probably another 10 minutes if I don't shut up and wrap this thing up. I really like this figure. If you want a Cosmic Legions that's going to get you into this line, I would say this guy, Novinline, and probably Kragnar are three really good ones to start with. Then I'd go from there, because you get three different body types, get a feel for the line, and they're all really cool looking creature characters. Well, this guy, not as much as the other two, but you know what I mean. He's a cyborg, he's a big chunky bruiser type character, and as far as I can tell, I think he's the one that's sent to fight Kragnar in the Grave Ring, so I'm very curious how that turns out. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. As long-winded as it may have been, again, I want to provide you guys with as much information as possible in case there aren't a ton of videos of this guy out there. So hopefully it was at the very least informative, and that's all I can really ask for. So until next time, I'll catch you guys later.